Good morning, Southern California, AM 1220 KHTS. Host Fred Arnold on the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce Business Spotlight. I'm joined by Samantha Marcus. Welcome back, honor student, West Ranch High School.
Hi.
Yep, and Jake Gomez, honor student from Valencia High School. Real quickly, they are part of the LINC. They developed it, which is Linking Individual Network Connections, which basically linking students who want a particular career and interviewing those in that career that are experts. And you have a great one today, principal of West Ranch High School, Samantha.
Yeah, we have Principal Mark Crawford at West Ranch High School. He started off his career by earning a degree in radio and film from San Diego State. He received a master's degree in secondary education from Arizona State and a master's degree in education administration from the University of La Verne. He taught in Arizona for a few years, then moved to Santa Clarita to work with at-risk students at Hart High School. He also was a former baseball coach. Now he has been at West Ranch for 3 years, and we are so excited to have him here today. Thank you for taking time to be on the show, even though you have such a busy schedule.
No problem, Samantha and Jake and Fred. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here.
So my first question to you is, not many students really understand how being a principal is very difficult, and you have to make very difficult decisions. For example, there have been some instances of bullying in the past. How do you handle those? What goes through your mind when you have to make tough decisions for staff and students?
Well, having children of my own, even in high school age, kind of puts it in perspective for me, so I can see it from several different angles, because that's really what you have to do as an administrator and as a principal. You have to see it from the view of the victim, of the victim's parents, but also the ultimate goal would be for that kind of activity, such as bullying, or the big one we deal with nowadays that even just 3 years ago wasn't as big as the social media or the cyber issues that go on. You also ultimately you want that type of activity to stop. So you also have to think of it from the concern of the student that actually did those things, and you want to educate them to make sure that it doesn't happen again, and make them understand that the things or the words that they use or the things that they put out there on social media can be damaging and harming to another person, and you don't want that to happen because they wouldn't want it to happen to them. And so it comes from an idea of understanding the victim and what's right for them, but also knowing that the ultimate goal is to educate the person doing this so that they don't do it again from here on out.
For sure. And so kind of shifting the conversation, rather than dealing with bullying and maybe not the best part of West Ranch, what are some rewarding things about your daily career as a principal from your personal experiences at West Ranch?
Well, I mean, I think the best things that come from my position is just the students. That's the whole reason I got into the business of education, is to watch students, their growth as individuals, not only academically, but socially, emotionally, and just seeing them go on to do great things. And at West Ranch, from the opportunity to work with West Ranch TV, who has an incredible program, and being able to go even on their STN, their conferences where they've won awards, to see them, the effort they put in to our business. We've had 2 groups go on to win the Wharton competition at University of Pennsylvania. I went with them the first year, and all the way to our athletic competitions, from the games here with our Foothill League rivals, all the way up to driving up to Fresno to watch the boys cross country team take 3rd in state. All those things, just seeing students work and for a goal and then obtain that goal is just great, whether it's an academic goal, an athletic goal, or even for some of our students, like they form a club and they just, it's something that they put together, because we're proud to say we have 40 to 50 clubs on campus. Nearly all those clubs were generated by students, and to see them get connected with an activity and grow in that activity and represent West Ranch, those are all great things.
Wow, that's great. And just like Jake said, there are some rewarding things about your career, but I'm sure there have been times where you haven't really been prepared for a certain situation. Can you recall a certain time where you weren't really prepared?
Well, I think the one that's kind of taken all of us by storm is something I mentioned earlier, is the proliferation of social media and how things can just, before, if an issue happened on a campus, you dealt with it on the campus. You dealt with the people that were involved. You met with their parents. It was an issue that was on the campus that you tried to make right for, in this case, West Ranch. Now, when there's something that may occur, it goes out into the global sphere, the social media sphere, and now you're answering questions from even media like Channel 5 or Channel 2 or whatever. They want to know, why did this happen on your campus, even though they know nothing about, or they start to make judgments about our students, even though they know nothing about our students, our community, or anything. But you try to educate them as well to say, hey, this is what we're doing, this is how we're handling it. But it's just something that has really taken over as social media has become really ingrained in our culture, and it does a lot of great things. Like, it gets good messages out, and it makes people think and get information. But sometimes that information is not always the right information or the best information. So you have to kind of wade through that and get your message out as well to make sure you can combat the kind of the negative things.
Well, it's definitely clear that you've been a positive catalyst for the positive culture that's on West Ranch. And even though I'm a Valencia student, I definitely thank you for that, and thank you for everything you've done for the Heart District. And so, just leaving it off, we know that you were actually a film major in college. So
yes.
What advice would you give your students or high school students in general throughout the Santa Clarita Valley of choosing a major and not being afraid to kind of differ from a set career path and just kind of leaving your options open? Can you just give a lot of career advice for students?
Sure. It's one of those things where now I think it's even more important to kind of keep your options open because it is hard to find jobs. Even after you can have a great education that we have from all of our high schools here in Santa Clarita, you can go on to a good university and get a degree and then find yourself in a situation that, maybe not exactly what you had planned. But I think for me, radio, TV, film, I wanted to get involved in sports broadcasting. And I did. I actually was one of those that got a job right out of school. But what I found was that it wasn't the passion that I thought I would find. And in fact, through my process, I started, getting involved in coaching and then getting involved in teaching. And I found that, my mom was a longtime educator, that I found that really what my passion was working with kids and doing those things. And then that took me off, and just keeping yourself open to options as they come up. And,
right.
While you're in high school and while you have a chance to do, whether it's what we used to call ROP classes, now our college and career readiness classes, or getting out there and interning, whether it's like what you guys are doing right now, working on a radio show, or getting out there and doing, maybe if you think you might want to do some pre-med, maybe talking to Henry Mayo Hospital about volunteering or interning over there to see if it's really what you want to do even before you get to college. So doing all of those things and getting involved is the most important thing you can do, and keep your options open.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Crawford. We really appreciate all that you do for the Heart District, and especially for West Ranch High School. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jake and Samantha. Appreciate it.
Mr. Crawford, thank you very much for all you do. Mark Crawford, West Ranch High School principal. A great interview, Samantha and Jake. And we're going to jump to a quick break. And when we come back, we got another fantastic interview, Greg Hayes. And we'll be right back on AM 1220 KHTS.
Welcome back to AM 1220 KHTS. This is Jake and Sam with LINC Podcast, linking individuals' network connections. And with us today, we have Greg Hayes.
Yes.
Greg Hayes is a teacher at Valencia High School, and he teaches 3 AP classes: human geography, psychology, and government. And he's taught for 35 years in the Santa Clarita Valley. And but before that, he is a UCLA alumni. He's coached basketball there for 4 years, and his basketball career has actually taken him to an upwards of about 40 other countries. So with us today, we have a father, an author, a teacher, a coach, and a pure success story, Greg Hayes. Thank you so much for being with us.
And a Bruin.
That's right.
And most importantly, a Bruin, yes.
I knew I liked you. Thank you, Jake.
So starting off with Sam.
Yes. So welcome. First off, we'd really like to talk about your success. As Jake was saying, you've traveled to 40 countries, you teach 3 AP classes, you graduated from UCLA. We want to know where this all started. How was college for you? You chose your major. Was your major the same? Was it different? And why was UCLA a good choice for you?
I hope I can be someone that kids can say, wow, look what the good things that happened to him, and he didn't plan any of it. I was going to be a high school teacher. I am now, of course, but there was a detour along the way because I was in the UCLA band. And as a result, I kind of got to know Coach Wooden a little bit. He was there at the time. And from that experience, I got to coach basketball at UCLA when it was just the elite program in the country. And that, associated with UCLA, just opened up incredible doors, including 2 years later coaching United States college basketball teams that traveled around the world. So I didn't plan any of it except to think about it and pray about what was right and decisions, and really special things happened to me as a result of being associated with UCLA and Coach John Wooden.
Wow.
That's amazing. So talking about this basketball career that came out of, I guess, nowhere, how did you how were you able to go and travel around the world with basketball? You've gone to North Korea, you've gone to the USSR when it was the Soviet Union. How did you get to that point?
From UCLA, because again, those four letters open a lot of doors for people.
For sure.
There was a U.S. college all-star teams that traveled. When I say all-star teams, they sent a few out every year to different parts of the world. And I was selected to be one of the coaches, and I did that for 7 years. I actually took a couple kids teens from Canyon High School after that. And then recently, when I stopped coaching basketball at Valencia High School, it opened up the door for a semi-pro basketball team that was the first and really the only team ever to get into North Korea. It's the first time a United States team ever went. And because of my association with UCLA, and because I'd had that varied background internationally, they came and found me to lead that tour. So I just feel very blessed for those opportunities. But it all began at UCLA as a student and choosing to go there, and the opportunities that came with that.
Wow, that's great. And you're also a teacher, so you've been teaching for 35 years, and that's a really long time. What made you want to continue teaching for so long, and how was that different from your career when you were traveling around the world? I mean, what made you want to be into teaching and stick with that?
That's a great question. I was at UCLA, and I was there for 4 years, and when coaching changes come, there's opportunities for people to bring new people in. But for me, you don't get paid a lot as an assistant coach at UCLA. And so I started doing substitute teaching in the spring, and I found I loved it. And I thought, I think I want to teach for a while, and maybe I'll come back and do college basketball coaching. Well, I found out while I was a high school coach and teacher, I could still do the international tours and coach the U.S. college all-star teams. So that combined the two worlds. And then I really love teaching. I love being around high school kids. They're talented kids. I have great respect for them, like you too, and you're multi-talents. And so it was a great mixing of those two worlds to use international basketball coaching opportunities and teach during the regular school year.
So in a way, Greg Hayes, Fred Arnold, you customized some of your loves in life to create a job that you absolutely love doing every day.
No, it's a great point. When you teach, it's such a great job, but you can also kind of renaissance. You got time in the summer to do a lot of things. I've done acting with that. I've traveled and continued through sports. I run summer basketball camps, and it gave me time to write the book. So teaching is a tremendous opportunity if you use that free time that you have to do other things, which I think hopefully makes you a better teacher as well.
So you did mention the book, and now we're kind of curious. So you are now, as of recently, an author. And can you tell us about this new up-and-coming career for you?
Well, I don't know that it's a career as much as it was a love for Coach Wooden and a desire to tell a story that had not been told about him, and even to acquaint a new generation with Coach Wooden, because people somehow don't know who he is anymore. The greatest coach ever, who had a greater impact off the court than he did on the court in influencing people's lives. He ran summer basketball camps for 17 years and had a tremendous influence, rich influence on kids for 17 years, thousands and thousands, probably 40 to 60,000, as well as coaches like me who came to learn under him and coach for him and went back to influence countless students and coaches from there. So it was a tremendous influence. I asked someone to write the book, and they felt what they couldn't do, and I finally thought, this story's got to be told, and I gave it a shot. It was actually kind of easy to write because you just quote Coach Wooden, you go back through the tapes and write down word for word what he said, and then you take the other great coaches who were there and the campers and tell their stories. So it was a great book. It was a labor of love, and I was really fortunate because his daughter said he was it's just a loving tribute to her dad. And I thought that was the intent of it. So I was really pleased by that.
And we can get it via Amazon, correct?
Right. It's called Camp with Coach Wooden.
Okay.
And if anybody knows me, they can get a copy from me or on Amazon, right?
Awesome. So just kind of leaving you off, or leaving all of students off with something. With everything you have gone through with your life and your career, like you said, it wasn't all planned. So to students, what should their perspective of their futures be?
It's a great question, and I tell my students that you don't necessarily know. But I think being in the moment and being the best you can and surround yourself, being around great people, oftentimes opens doors you just don't know are going to be there. But truly, every day, Coach Wooden would talk about making each day your masterpiece. And that's a lifelong challenge for me, to make the most of each day and try to be a loving person, learn. You're always getting better. The more I teach and coach, the more I realize I didn't know what I didn't know, and that I made mistakes, and you grow and learn from them. But I was truly blessed by really good people in my life who opened doors for me and believed in me. And so I would just tell people to keep their eyes open, their ears open, their opportunities open, pray, talk to people, ask for advice, and find really good mentors to follow, and some special things can happen from there.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Hayes. We really appreciate you being here.
For sure.
We are really impressed with all the success that you have been with, and we just really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a great opportunity to talk, for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg Hayes, coach, teacher, author. And Bruin, right?
Yeah.
What a great interview. Samantha Marcus, thank you. Jake Gomez for your program. LINC, Linking Individual Network Connections. Website?
Yes, we have a website. It's linkpodcast.weebly.com. And we also have an email, linkpodcast@gmail.com.
And so you guys can send us questions if you want to be interviewed. That'd be awesome. And anything like that. It's
about interviewing professionals in their profession to teach, if you will, or guide students right now on their career paths or a career path they think they might want to be in. So good job, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, Samantha Marcus and Jake Gomez. Hope you appreciated this, enjoyed this edition of the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce Business Spotlight. I'm your host, Fred Arnold, on AM 1220 KHTS.